What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. Let's start with some baseball. Spring training is right around the corner. The Phillies release Nicholas Castellanos. He's got a little under $20 million left on his deal. Last year of his deal. Castellanos had a great career last 4 years with the Phillies. He's overall been very good, but he had probably the worst year of his career last season. He hit 250, 17 home runs, 72 RBIs, for 694 OPS. Obviously, he's never been a good defender as well in the outfield. Surprised it took this long. I'm sure they tried to trade him during the season, during the offseason rather. No one wanted to take him. He's a liability defensively. Now his bat is starting to go. He's going to be 34 years old, due $20 million this year. Yeah, those not going to be a taker for him. But upon spring training starting, they told him not to report, and then a day or two later, he was cut. He was benched in June for a clubhouse incident. He came out and posted something on social media about it. Apparently, when he was removed from the game late in the game for defensive purposes, he brought a beer into the dugout, and Rob Thompson, the manager, didn't like that, so he got benched for a game. There's been differing opinions on that. I don't think it's that bad, but I get you got to be a professional. However, he does have a new home. The Padres signed him for a year, so he'll be in camp with them. I'm sure he'll make the roster at least as a bench bat, maybe even be in their starting nine. I wonder where they'll put him because he's obviously came up with third baseman. He was a butcher over there. He ends up being a corner outfielder for his whole career. He's not very good out there. He's really a DH, but because the Phillies had Kyle Schwarber, he really couldn't DH. So we'll see what San Diego does for him. He goes to San Diego. Toronto and Houston make a small trade. Toronto gets Jesus Sanchez from the Astros for Joey Loperfido. I like this for Toronto. Sanchez was one of the top prospect with the Marlins. Last year was traded to Houston at the deadline. And didn't have a horrible year. Last year at 237, 14 home runs, 48 RBI, but 699 OPS. And was something the player we all thought he was going to be. But he's got some power. He probably fits best probably a bench bat, which is what he's going to be. He'll probably get some time at DH with Santander injured most of the season. But he profiled mostly as a bench bat, which he will be, I think. But he's still going to be 28. He's a better player than Joey Loperfido. Loperfido did, he had a decent year last year. Played 104 games in Toronto. Hit actually 333. Excuse me, no, he played 41 games. He had 104 plate appearances, 966 at bats. Didn't play a whole lot, but did hit 333. 79 OPS. He's a good outfielder defensively. He's going to be 27. So I would say Sanchez is a little bit more proven. He's got some more power. Loperfido was a better defender. I think right now the better fit for the Blue Jays is Jesus Sanchez. So I like it for both sides. Sanchez is probably the closest you'll get to Santander upon what's left out there on the market to replace him. And for Houston, you got a touch younger in Loperfido, and he gives you a better glove out there in the outfield. Maybe we'll have more of an expanded role this year in Houston. San Diego made a couple of other minor signings along with Nicholas Castellanos. Then we're getting Griffin Canning on a one-year deal. Griffin Canning was with the Mets last year. Made 16 starts, 3.77 ERA, 76 in the third, 70 strikeouts, 35 walks. He tore his Achilles, I think, in June. So his season got cut short, but was having maybe the best year of his career before torn Achilles. Came up with the Angels, had a decent season, a couple of rough years. Last year, the Braves trade for him, then DFA'd, and the Mets picked him up for depth. Injuries forced him into the rotation very early on in the season, and pitched pretty well for the Mets before getting hurt. So he'll probably factor somewhere into San Diego's rotation once he gets healthy. They also signed German Marquez as well to a one-year deal. So he's been really bad these last couple of years. Last year he made just had 6.7 ERA, which is horrific. He gave up 168 hits and 126 in the third. He was injured pretty much all of 2024. He only made 4 starts in 2023. Only made 26 last year. But this is a guy who He had a really good year in 2018 with 33 starts with 3.77 ERA, 196 innings. In the pandemic year, pitched well. And then just even in 2021, 4.4 ERA, 180 innings, he was okay. Going to be 31. I really think not pitching in Colorado will help him. Petco Park, I'm not sure if that's like a hitter-friendly or pitcher-friendly park. I think it's more of a pitcher-friendly park. It's certainly better than pitching in Colorado. I think he'll be a little bit better. He's shown in the past when he's healthy, he can be a decent starting pitcher. I think he'll give them something. They could use arms in that rotation. You do have Nick Pivetta, who had a great year last year. You bring back Michael King, but King's also injury prone. I think you have Musgrove come back from Tommy John this year. Yu Darvish isn't going to pitch for you this year. You lose Dylan Cease, so they could use some arms in that rotation. They have plenty of bats, for the most part. That bullpen maybe is the best in the league. They just need some more starting pitching. And they also signed Ty France to a minor league deal. Ty France actually started his career in San Diego in 2019 and then was traded in the pandemic year mid-year to Seattle. He had the best year of his career with Seattle in 2022 and he had 274, 20 homers, 83 RBIs, 774 OPS. Has not been able to recreate that since. But last between Minnesota and Toronto had 257, 7 home runs, 2 RBIs, 681 OPS. He's a solid bench piece to have. He's a utility infielder. He's mainly a first baseman. He came up a third baseman, I think, played third and second, eventually moved to first. But he's a solid infielder to have on your bench. He's a capable hitter who can play all the infield. So he'll get some depth. They could use Luis Arias was your first baseman for the most part last year. You let him go in for agency, so France will probably Jake Cronzer he'll play most of the first base. I would think France will play a good amount of first and second for San Diego this coming season. And they also a Diamondbacks re-signed Zach Gallen a year for $22 million. Gallen last year didn't have a good year. Year 4.83, but he had been a second candidate before that. They're hoping that he bounces back to that. They hit off from a qualifying offer. He turned it down, but he re-signed for basically the same contract. Zach Gallen is back in Arizona. Let's talk some basketball quickly as we head into the second half of the season. Right before the All-Star break, the Indiana Pacers were fined. The Utah Jazz were fined $500,000, and the Pacers were fined $100,000 for roster management. This league is a joke with the tank. That's not going to deter them. This league is a joke, a complete joke with the tanking. We got the Wizards, got Anthony Davis and Trae Young just not playing. AD's hurt. Should be back eventually, but they're probably not going to play him. They're not playing Trae Young for some reason. Utah was not playing Jaren Jackson, Yusuf Nurkic, and Laurie Marker in the fourth quarter. Now Jaren Jackson just had season-ending surgery. Just what an absolute mess. The Pacers, had one game where Nembhard didn't play, and Nesmith didn't play, and Siakam didn't play just randomly. They haven't played Vic Zubac since they got him from the Clippers, who they gave up Benedict Mulford and Isaiah Jackson to get, and I don't understand this league. They might be cooked. Chris Paul has announced his retirement. He originally signed with the Clippers prior to the season, going back to where pretty much all started for him. Years ago, it was going to be like his retirement tour, his last season. Started out not playing very well. Clippers were playing very bad. He clashed with coaches and players. They just said, you're done. They took him out of the rotation. They ended up holding on to him. They ended up trading him to the Raptors at the deadline, and they ended up just waiving him just now. It was a few days ago. And he announced his retirement. So everyone being like, oh, I'm so sad that he's going out this way. Don't be. Chris Paul had a nice career, but he was a complete asshole. Overrated player. Never got done in the postseason. The reason he's been on so many teams, guys just don't like playing with him. He's very overly demanding. He was a complete douchebag, and I think it's awesome the way he went out. He deserved it. Goodbye, Chris Paul. Had a very good career. Might be Hall of Famer, but I don't feel bad for him not winning a championship and doing it the way he did. He was absolutely well-deserved. And Zach LaVine's being shut down for the year of season getting hand surgery. The Kings are a complete joke. Worst team in basketball. They've lost the last 14 games. Not sure what LaVine and all these other guys were traded. Evidently, the Sacramento Kings are just a brutal organization. So now I'm going to continue my NFL offseason preview series. We're going to head to the AFC South today. Start with the AFC South winners this past year, the Jacksonville Jaguars. So Jacksonville is not in a great cap situation. They are projected to be about 2 million or so over the cap. So they're going to be just over the cap this coming year. This is a big year. So last year you win 13 games. Trevor Lawrence has maybe the best year of his career. But we've seen this before. His rookie year, he was really bad. Second year starts off rough. Had that incredible second half, wins a playoff game. And then the next couple of years was mediocre, had some injuries. And then this year starts off slow again. Second half was brilliant, ends up having a good year, takes him to the playoffs. Fortunately, you fall in the first round to Buffalo. But like he's due $24 million this year. His contract is going to really jump into some big numbers with that $270 million extension after this coming season. So it's important that they really put a good core around them. They're going to need another receiver, I think. They announced that Travis Hunter is going to be a full-time corner and only play receiver very sporadically. So I really think Brian Thomas is a good player. I know he didn't have a good year this past year, but he was brilliant as a rookie first-round pick. I still believe in the talent. I think he could bounce back. Which being healthier. I like Parker Washington. I think they need one more solid receiver. They had a lot of injuries. Hunter being hurt. ETN missed some time. Brenton Stringer, tight end, who played very well last year, was hurt a bunch last year. I like their offensive line. I think that defense is really good. They're a well-coached team with Liam Cohen. Both coordinators got some head coach interest. Grant Udinski and Anthony Campanelli, they're both coming back. I think that's a big piece of this as well. But I would go out and get one more really good wide receiver. And even like look defensively, they're really, really good. They had a very underrated defense last year. We're the number one team against the run in the entire league. I might add one more defensive back, and maybe even one more pass rusher. I know you have Josh Hines down, who's really good. Even Trayvon Walker. It's not Aiden Hutchinson they should have drafted that year, but he is a good player. I would add, just keep building. This is a team that's relatively young. They're a good team, and you gotta really go as old as you can this coming season, because then once Trevor Lawrence's salary jumps in 2027, team building is gonna get really, really hard. That's what I do if I was Jacksonville. Now let's move to the Houston Texans. So Houston, really heartbreaking loss in the divisional round to the Patriots. Obviously, C.J. Stroud played really, really bad. Houston is also not in the best cap situation. They are going to be under the cap with Christian Kirk and Nico Autry's deals for certain rankings deals that they are going to void. That is going to give them roughly like 15, maybe $19 million in cap space. Not a lot, but they got to do something about this offense. I know they had a lot of injuries. Nico Collins missed time. Joe Mixon was out all season. Injuries on the offensive line, which even when healthy wasn't great. I do need to bring in some competition for C.J. Stroud. He's been very bad these last 2 years overall. After a phenomenal rookie year. Again, he's had injuries. Tank Dell also didn't play this past year. He's had a very bad offensive line. But you change play caller from Bobby Slowick to Nick Caley. I think ended up being the right move in the long run, but at some point he's got to be held accountable. I think having Tank Dell next year will help. He's a very good receiver. He's still young. Hopefully he can be able to produce. He's very close with C.J. Stroud in real life. Stroud wanted him to draft him a couple years ago. And you even have a good tight end in Schultz. But I would bring in some competition in that quarterback room. Whether that ends up just being Davis Mills, giving him a legit shot maybe to start next year, or bringing in a guy like I think a guy like Malik Willis would be perfect, but he's probably gonna get a chance to have a more slightly more guaranteed starting job next year. But they gotta bring in somebody maybe like if they can swing a trade for Mac Jones or maybe a Marcus Mariota. They got to bring in some competition for C.J. Stroud. Because Davis Mills, this offense looked a lot better with Davis Mills than the 3 games he started in place of an injured Stroud during the season. Like, that defense is ferocious, maybe the best in all of football. But offensively, they got to bring in some competition at quarterback. They got to look at the offensive line a lot, too. That line is really, really bad. It's been really bad for 2 years now. They got to get better on the offensive line. Never understood what they traded Laramie Tunsil away last year for a bunch of mid-round draft picks. They gotta put a better offensive line around whoever is the quarterback. I would look to bring in another back. Look, Joe Mixon is going to be healthy going into next year, it looks like, but didn't play last year. Is going to be 30. He's due $10 million next year, which is a pretty big number for a running back, especially an older running back. They would save $8 million if they cut him. That doesn't sound like the worst idea. I know Woody Marks was just okay, and the only other back here we have there is Jawar Jordan, who had like that one decent game and was on the practice squad the whole rest of the year. But they gotta really improve the offensive side of the football. And also, I would extend Will Anderson. He's one of the premier young pass rushers in the sport. I would give him a long-term extension in the offseason. Now let's head to the Indianapolis Colts, who have a lot to figure out. Start off 8-2. Daniel Jones goes down. You fall apart. You had to bring a 80-year-old Philip Rivers out of retirement. You end up 8-9, lose 7 in a row. You miss the playoffs. However, you do have nearly $35 million in cap space to play with. I think the right move at the quarterback spot is to franchise tag Daniel Jones. He was playing really well before we got injured. I think you have to bring him back. Don't give this guy a long-term deal. Don't make him, do what he did with the Giants. He was bad for a few years, had one half decent year. Says, demand a long-term deal. They gave it to him and it blew up in their face. You don't want to risk that happening. But tag him, bring him back for another year. Hopefully he's ready by week 1. And try this again with Daniel Jones. They got to get better defensively. They need another really good pass rusher. Forrest Buckner's a very good defensive tackle in the middle. 1, he's getting older, and 2, he needs a little bit of help. So you got to get another really good pass rusher in there. I had one more piece in the secondary. And I would really try and bring back Alec Pierce. He's developed into one of the best downfield threats in all of football. Last year, over 1,000 yards, averaged over 21 yards a catch. That's an incredible number, so I would really look to bring him back. And if not, you're going to have to bring in another receiver. Pittman's pretty good. Josh Downs is pretty good. I like the tight end Warren. They can obviously run football with Jonathan Taylor, but they're going to miss the downfield presence of Alec Pierce if they lose him. So you got to re-sign him, or they got to find a way to replace him in the app and get really, really well. Next was a big year for the Colts. If they don't make the playoffs, I have a hard time seeing that regime coming back. And now let's go to the Tennessee Titans. So Titans were once again very bad last year. Now you got a new coach coming in, Robert Saleh. Right, I don't like that hire very much, but Daboll's the offensive coordinator, makes it look a little bit better. They are going to have the most cap space in the entire league. They're projected to have about $103 million in cap space. They got a ton of money. They got to help Cam Ward out. They got to improve the offensive line. You brought in Dan Moore last year. That helped a little bit. You've spent a couple of higher picks on some guys, J.C. Latham, Pierre Skoronski in recent years. I would continue to build up that offensive line. They got to get a legit number one receiver in there. Calvin Ridley's pretty good, but not a true number 1. And that rest of that room, I know that guy, what's his name, Chamir Decay, whatever his name is, he's pretty good. What's his name? Alec Manor, I think I'm pronouncing his name wrong. He flashes well, but they need one more very good veteran receiver in that room as well. Defensively, not a horrible unit. Just the offense was really rough with a rookie quarterback and just a lack of personnel. I think I would bring in one more solid pass rusher along with Jeffrey Simmons in the middle there, and probably another piece in the secondary position since you're now a defensive-minded head coach in Robert Saleh. But they got a lot of money to play with. I would definitely take advantage of that for sure. A couple of assistant coaches being promoted and brought in. The Raiders promote their defensive line coach, Rob Leonard, to be the defensive coordinator for Clint Kubiak. The Seahawks are bringing in 49ers tight ends coach Brian Fleury to be their offensive coordinator. That replaces Clint Kubiak, who took the Raiders head coach job. And Kubiak is bringing the Seahawks quarterbacks coach with him to be his offensive coordinator, Andrew Janico. And last piece of football news, but the Dolphins are creating a lot of cap space. They have cut Bradley Chubb, a 2-time Pro Bowl defensive end last year. After missing a season coming off torn ACL last year, had 8.5 sacks last year, along with 47 tackles, 2 forced fumbles. He'll be 30 years old. They let him go. That saved him $7 million in cap space. They also let go of Tyreek Hill, veteran receiver. First time he'll ever be a free agent. Eight-time Pro Bowler was injured most of last year. They saved over 20 million with that move. They also were cutting a one-year offensive lineman James Daniels and receiver Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. That will save the Dolphins north of $60 million in cap space with all four moves, which was needed because they came into the offseason about $20 million over the cap. So going to look a lot different in Miami next season. Not only on the field, but obviously got a new regime coming in as well. Let's recap Friday Night Smackdown from this past Friday. So we started off with we have a Tiffany Stratton promo, which are to me always hard to listen to. You don't know how upset I was when Nia Jax's music hit. Does this creative team really have nothing else? These two have been feuding for over a year. Enough. Okay, stop it. On top of Nia Jax is horrendous. I don't think Tiffany Stratton's a great talent either. I think she's super overpushed. That segment was just god awful. Holy yikes. Then we had a Rhea Elegance last fight to end Nia Jax in the Women's Tag Team Championship match. Ends in a no contest. I get why, but enough of these no contests. So dumb and so stupid. Then we had a six-man tag, or no, an eight-man tag. Well, Carmelo Hayes first came out and cut a promo. He was interrupted by the MFTs. Then he got some help from his friends. Ended up being Carmelo Hayes, Ilya Dragunov, Matt Cardona, and Apollo Crews. I don't remember the last time that guy had a main roster match. And Shinsuke Nakamura actually in a 10-man tag against the MFTs, of course, Solo's group. MFTs won. We gotta talk about this group. I do like Solo Sikoa. I even like Tama Tonga. I think Tama Tonga is a half decent wrestler. Tonga Loa is god awful. Tama Tonga is just tall. Just tall. That's why his name is Tall. It's the most lame wrestling name I've ever heard. JC Mateo, there's no way he's in WWE by this time next year. I don't see it. How you make an Olympic wrestler this irrelevant is almost impressive. It's pathetic. Then we had Alexa Bliss against Julie against Zelina Vega in a triple threat match for Chamber qualifier. Alexa Bliss picks up the win. Very good match with Charlotte Flair, of course, at ringside. They had Ray Fenix against Trick Williams. Really good match. Trick Williams picks up the win. I do feel bad for Ray Fenix. He's such a talented in-ring performer. They got to do more of him. Not mad he lost this match. I get it's Trick Williams. He got to push the guy to the moon, but I really do feel bad for Ray Fenix. Then we had Jade Cargill versus Jordan Grace for the WWE Women's Championship. Match is just kind of okay. Jade wins. Jade is not a good wrestler. She's just not. Now Bianca's probably not going to make it to Mania. She's having finger surgery again. I don't know what they're going to do with the title at Mania. I would take it off for honestly a chamber with somebody. It's gotten ridiculous. Then a triple threat match. Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes, and Jacob Fatu in the main event. And with overcoming the distractions, Cody Rhodes wins and qualifies for the Elimination Chamber. There's been a lot of like fake John Cena's over the years. Cody might be the worst of them. Enough. Really? This made no sense. You had Drew attack Fatu and Cody trying to get Sammy to win. And then he threw Sammy on top of Cody. Cody still kicked out through all that. Fatu got decimated, basically got squashed in this match. And Sammy, kicked Drew's head off. And he was trying to help him and then led to Cody hitting one crossroads and winning. Just horrendous booking. Why are they making Drew look like a fool? It's pathetic. It's going to be Drew against Cody at Mania again. Hopefully Fatu's in a triple threat at this point. I don't know how you could even do that. This just horrible. The booking in WWE's gotten so bad, it's not even funny. But that's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long, and have a great day.